Hello and welcome and good morning, Syl. Hello. Hello and welcome and good morning, Syl. Hello and welcome everyone. I'm saying this now again because somehow we were having some communication problem. It is part of the process of learning and growing that you get some sort of trouble sometimes. Welcome again, Syl.
Good, good. Yes, Zoom dropped for some reason.
Yes, it
Beena,
was.
I wanted
Yes.
to add to what you were saying about energy management. Yeah,
Okay, let
something
me
I
say it
learned late.
again. So then, and then of course everybody will also. So I was just saying
Oh!
that.
I thought you were sharing it. Okay,
No, no, no.
go ahead.
I'm going to. Okay. Today's thought was that I have seen Sil because when I asked Sil, how are you? And he says, I am good. I am good. And I was not feeling well before, but now I am good. And you can feel that. He's not only saying that, but you can feel that he is well. And just few minutes before, he was not feeling well. The energy level was low and he was crying. And I was like really amazed by that because he is the only person I so far I know that who can actually deliberately choose moods, but not only moods, but also he can leverage energy. And that is something really amazing. I'm trying my best to learn this. I am doing this by creating some new associations with things like this live. This is a practical implementation of this leveraging and choosing deliberate moods, leveraging energy. Because the moment he still says that, oh, we are live, and it changes my mood, it changes completely everything, my energy level and everything into this. Sometimes I have fever, sometimes I'm not feeling well, I'm lethargic, whatever. But this association is just like, yes, we are live. Of course, it's a good association. But Syl is doing in a completely different way. It's a completely different dimension for this. And I want to know more about it. So please, Syl, add what you were keen to share with.
Ah, so this energy management is something I learned playing competitive golf. Now,
Hmm.
in this particular type of a golf format, we played as a team, myself and somebody else, right? And then the competition is scored according to the number of holes, right? So not the lowest score, or sometimes it's the lowest score, but actually yes, there was a low score, but it was the combination, either whoever of us made the best score, right? And it played differently. Sometimes you did alternate stroke, or like we both played the hole and only the best score counted, right? I think that's the way this particular one, because it was like a local competition that one of the business owners, they owned a bar and a pub, they organized, and myself and my friend, we won it twice, which was like really unusual, yeah, to do it twice. But and it's based
Hmm.
on handicaps and everything, and I'd improved a lot between the one and the other, and so it was a real surprise. But there was a secret to why this happened. Yes, because I
Yes.
understood energy management. And I would always tell my friend, and in other times too, I played in competitive situations where I played with people. Sometimes we played as a whole team of 4 people, and I won disproportionately more than I should have because of energy management. It was my secret ace in the hole. All right. Not only am I very positive and encouraging, like I can leverage energy, which brings everybody's energy up. That helps a lot. But the real secret was I always told them, if you're out, you're out. In other words, if we're all playing, right? And like in this
Yes.
case, my friend. It's whoever's going to have the best score that counts. So let's say, like I make my first drive and I hit it out of bounds. Okay, I'm out. And you can hit another shot, which you typically do, and you play anyway, because even though I might have a bad score, my friend might even have a really terrible score, right? So you've got to play the hole out anyway. But if the other guy is going good and he's likely to make a good score, don't you grind and try your absolute best to make the very best score. Just finish the hole and that's it. Don't put a lot of energy into it, in other words, right? When you're out, you're out. And I always would say to them, when you're out, save your energy. Yes. And that made so much difference, because golf takes a lot of energy, especially competitive golf. It doesn't look like it, but it is unending concentration. You have to be concentrating every second. Yeah, you're walking along there, but you're thinking, you're planning, you're getting, and you have to manage your mood. You have to especially manage your energy. You tend to get faster and faster. So that one secret of saying, when you're out, save your energy. This applies to now as well. Yes. In other words, look, earlier this morning, right? We've been on Zoom, I don't know, a couple of hours already, I think since 7 o'clock, right? So 3 hours already, yeah,
Even
something like that.
earlier, even earlier.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
yes.
Oh, yeah, it was even earlier, right? Oh, yeah, okay. Anyway, so we've been on 5 hours, whatever it is. But earlier, I was lower energy. I wasn't high energy like that, because I was managing it. Yes, and I didn't need to raise up my energy when you need it to do it. But when you don't need it, don't make the effort to go and raise your energy high. You can't be at peak all the time. So that's the same thing in golf. Save it for when you need it. Yeah. And all right, in golf, you need it. If you're playing in a tournament when you're on your own, you need it for every single shot. But even so, some shots are easier than others, and you don't have to have super much. But that key point of not overusing your energy when you don't absolutely need to, this is very key. Yeah. Then you have it ready for where you can do it, and you
This
can
is
pull it
so
up.
crucial. Thank you.
Very
Thank you
crucial.
for
Very
sharing this,
crucial. Very big deal.
because when we are doing this, okay, unnecessarily, we are trying to leveraging our energy, increasing our energy, is mostly it comes from the should. I just realized that oh,
Exactly. 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 Exactly.
because I have seen that in my culture, in my extended family, and of course, and friends, and of course, relatives, and all that. It is like, okay, everybody wants to be proper, not appropriate, just proper. And of
Yeah.
course, it is like, okay, it is not polite if you are feeling sleepy in the daytime. So it is like, okay, and especially women, they do try their best to
Exactly.
not look sleepy at all. It is embarrassing for them. And whenever they get like, okay, they get to take nap and all that, they
Yeah.
they really make an excuse for that. Oh,
Yeah.
because I was like, oh yes, because of this. So it was like, okay, they are trying
Don't
to
be
to
honest.
not get enough sleep, whatever their body is asking for, just
Yeah.
because it's a should from the society and the culture.
Exactly.
And when you were saying that, I never realized that before, but when you were saying that, I realized that, oh, how many things we do just because it is not nice in the culture,
Yeah.
or it is good to do in the culture and all that. So that is something very, very profound. Thank you so much for sharing this. It
Oh,
is
pleasure.
brilliant.
Pleasure.
Even in
Yeah.
it's just a simple thing, very personal thing. It is my
Yeah.
energy, it is my mood, it is my energy. I
Yeah.
can do that, but why to do that?
Exactly.
When we start really
Exactly.
paying attention to the really personal things, that when no one is actually, we are not accountable to anyone in these type of things, but it's still we do that because we are so attuned and so mind
Yeah.
conditioned to the shoulds
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
norms of the society. This is truly
Yeah.
against the deliberate living. So thank you so much for sharing.
Wow, brilliant. And also the conditioning of always do your best. As good people, we take this very seriously. And I saw it in the golf. Yes, where I saw, even though they were out and they did a bad shot, and they were already just on hole one, you're already 3 shots behind or 4 shots behind. It's like, come on, on your first shot, you hit it out of bounds and then you do it again. And they would keep trying earnestly, because of their internal goodness. Yes. When I said to them, when you're out, save energy, it made all the difference because they unconsciously kept grinding away and will pull down the energy. And it's amazing. It's amazing. I remember because I played with a men's group, and at that time, most of the guys were a lot older than me. They were in their 70s for the most part, right? And they were considerably older. So energy management was particularly important. But, we played in foursomes, and I remember playing in foursomes. And there were two guys. There were older guys who were friends, actually. And I remember the saying, and the one guy especially, well, both of them really, they weren't particularly good players, right? And they would be like playing out, having a bad day, right? But by saving their energy, it happened so many times because it was in a men's group, so we regularly played together. The foursomes would change, but there weren't too many of us, so you would typically play with the same guys, right? So played with them fairly regularly, not every time, but and so often they would be playing terribly, and individually their scores didn't mean anything, right? However, that saving of the energy, they would make that critical long putt exactly when it was needed and save the day and be the hero. One stroke made all the difference because they saved that energy, right? It happened
Yes.
time and time again. It was the most incredible thing because they realized that they hadn't contributed subconsciously and they wanted to, but the grinding is a way to contribute. Pressing that energy, grinding it out, right? Making your best effort. I'm contributing, but when you don't do that, now you feel like you're letting the team down. I haven't contributed, right? But now the energy builds up and they are able to contribute. It happens so many times. And there was always a bit of money involved, in this little minor competitions. Everybody puts into the pot. And then, so I'd come out with a profit, overall, because my team, whoever I was on, didn't matter. We would win more consistently. Again, simply because of energy management. Yes, it's simple things sometimes make a big difference. But I want to just leverage this point that I saw those guys, their goodness coming out, and they're making that effort on every stroke, even though there was no hope of them contributing. They would still be grinding it out, making that effort to be high energy and pressing and making an earnest good effort, etc. Because of shoot, right? Always do your best. No, 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 no. And especially if you have a positive team environment, right? And at that time, I didn't really feel like I was in a leadership position, but I was, despite myself. I was very humble. I still am, but now I realize it a bit more. I'm also older now. Not that that should matter, but they don't want to let the team down, so they make unnecessary effort, inappropriate effort. Always do your best. No, no, don't always do your best. Do your best when it's needed. For the rest of the time, save your energy. Do what's available. And in most circumstances, mediocre is more than enough. Correct? I don't always have to make the best, absolute best possible meal that I can. I make a sandwich. It's fantastic for me. It's mediocre is more than wonderful. I mean, yesterday I had for lunch. I so enjoyed it. I had baked potato with cheese and sausage. Oh, it was so delicious. I'm looking forward to having it again later today. Have the exact same meal. It's mediocre. Nothing much to it, A baked potato, I warm the sausage in the microwave, and that's it, So it's important to be aware of, right? You don't always need to do your best. And don't, in fact, save your energy. Manage your energy. And so energy management, absolutely core, fundamental to Way of Impeccability. I love this.
This
I
is
love this.
this is
Beena,
something I'm not getting
uh,
it completely. This is something I'm not getting there completely because not try to always do your best. Yes, the
like the cooking
intent.
example, right? For me, do I have to make the best possible meal that I can every time I eat?
Hmm. No, but okay, I was just going somewhere. Yes, yes, I understand your
Oh,
point.
oh, oh, oh,
So it
oh.
is when you say that, okay, the save your energy, and of course, like, okay, do your best later, like, whenever it is needed, really needed. So what I'm doing is, I'm not trying to do my best. Okay, I'm trying to do my best, but when I'm not doing it, I'm not able to do that. I'm not feeling regretful. I said, okay, it is what it is.
Exactly,
So,
exactly,
okay,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. We've been so
okay.
programmed to always do your best. We feel bad when we don't, but that's inappropriate, right?
Okay. Okay. So I'm still trying to do my best, but I don't feel bad when it doesn't happen. Like, okay, it happens many times when I
Exactly.
was like, okay, I'm trying to do my best in the live. Okay, yes, we want to, because I'm trying to learn to be as impeccable and as professional in this regard also. But okay, of course, I do make blunders. I just get a bit sloppy all the time. When I hear myself, I'm saying many times. I hear that, but I
Yeah.
don't feel bad. And I said, okay, I'm going to learn, and of course, I'm going to improve this. I don't feel bad about it. So I'm halfway there. I'm halfway there. I don't feel bad, but I'm also working. It's still, this doing best is still in my mind. Yes.
Interesting. Beena, you're gonna have to start coming on video because on the live stream it just shows Beena Sidd in black. It doesn't show the photo.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know
Okay.
why. I don't
Okay.
know why. So, uh, and especially since you're reading and you're doing so much,
Oh,
to be sitting and
yes.
watching a screen that says just that. All right, when we screen sharing, it doesn't matter that much, but like for the
Yes.
introduction,
Yes.
it does matter. It very much
Yes.
does. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So okay.
So
So
you
we
don't
will
have to
we
do it
will we will
today.
no,
Well.
we will start doing this. Um, please start reading, because we might have a power shutdown here. So
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So please.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know why on my Zoom when you talk, I see your photo, but when I'm looking at the live stream,
Yes, it
it
is
doesn't show that.
Facebook and other actually he's decided
Yeah.
that they have a
Yeah.
policy that okay, non video participants are
Correct.
not going to have their thing. So
Correct.
yes,
Correct. Correct. And so we're
I
gonna
understand that.
at least
Yes,
like in while we're doing the readings, you can just have your
yes,
camera on for the introduction and then turn it off after that.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's fine. That's fine. We're learning, and I love this that we are all of this time. I mean, we've been doing it for a long time now, but we're still learning. We're still practicing. Now, before
Oh,
we just did it for our own
and
selves.
again, I want to be more appreciative, but I can't. It's just something like, okay, I just take it kind of for granted from your side, because you have such an amazing patience and you have such an open heart for that. That no
No,
matter how many times I make some like, okay, sloppy things, and you're still so appreciative. You always
oh,
encourage me.
my pleasure,
It's
Venus. My
really,
pleasure.
really
Yeah,
support.
it's just a joy. That's the thing of Moreness-Living, Nobelia-Living. This is just a joy. I don't do it because it's a grind or a stress. Being
No,
patient, it's
no.
joy. That's Moreness
Otherwise
living.
I would not be keen to come every single time here. I would not
Exactly.
have that energy
Exactly.
from the whenever he says live, and I have that energy because it is a
Oh, we
joy.
love it. We love it.
Yes, it
We
is
love
not a
it.
work.
It's a great delight to do this. It's a great, wonderful, marvelous delight. Very well. Let's screen share and get going right away. What we are going to be doing is continuing the article from yesterday. Yes,
Yes,
it's an article. I keep calling them articles. They're chapters. I mean, I guess even when I was responding, I don't know. I mean, it was in the newspaper. It was a featured column. It wasn't really an article, but nonetheless, in my mind, that's still stuck a bit there. But they're not articles in the usual sense because they are responses, but really chapters, the word I need to say. And I need to update that. I kind of give Beena a hard time when she doesn't update sometimes. And yeah, I'm not updating. So these are chapters, so not articles. They aren't really articles, they are chapters. For this question, this answer, I can call it an answer instead of an article. Yes, an answer. All right. So this particular answer, this question is, so speak to me on how you personally discern difference between mind and honest inner voice, between
yes,
what is really the best action for you to take and emotional reaction, the best action and emotional reaction, exactly what we were talking about, right? Between when
yes,
one should take action and when one should just listen, between knowing your heart and the deception of mind. Yeah, so this is very important. They are looking to say, when is it that when you just say stuff and it's nonsense, or when you must be like real, right? In other words, the difference between being polite and in the normal sense, diplomatic. The answer is, of course, always be real, always be genuine, right? This is an assumption that honesty is something that has some flexibility to it. No, we can be honest, but it doesn't mean we have to be brutal. People confuse honesty with brutality or rudeness or harshness. No, that's what capital D diplomacy is. Capital D diplomacy is being honest in a nice way when that's needed. Yes. Honest in an
Exactly.
acceptable way. It might not even be
Exactly.
nice and charming. It sometimes can be a bit like, well, okay. Well, at least you didn't tell me to go and F off or something, you see? So
Yes.
when that might be the appropriate thing, yeah, like somebody coming and wanting to invade your country and you say, oh, no, sorry, no way. Yeah, but you don't need to do it in that horrible way. Why? Because that just causes more problems. So this is very important to understand. But mostly we say things that aren't maybe necessarily. It's not that you're lying, right? Or for most people, but they don't want to share the awful truth because they want to keep things from escalating. Capital diplomacy is all about that. It is difficult. It is a skill and an art. However, this is what Limo is asking, right? The difference between mind and from Limo's point of view, mind is all the BS inside of us that causes us, the stuff. For instance, mind would be superiority, dominance, ego, status, approval. That's all mind stuff in Limo's understanding of mind here, right? Between knowing your heart and the deception of mind. Now, this is actually a deep problem. This this understanding that, well, we've got heart and mind and you got to trust your heart. No, no, absolutely not. And same with mind. You got to trust neither. It's your deeper self. Both of them can give you false information. Yes. Our hearts sometimes tell us to do the very wrong things. I see it all the time, right? We have to have a higher standard than both. That's why thinking things through to the end is so critical, because then you discover where mind is flawed, where heart is flawed. Typically, they're flawed because they haven't thought it through to the end. They're not seeing the full picture. They're coming at things from a limited perspective. That's why shifting to multiple perspectives is so crucial. Those two tools are incredible, the power of it, right? And also between when one should take action and when one should just listen, right? And this is a huge question. In other words, Limo might as well just ask, Biella, please tell me how to live,
Hmm.
right? She might as well
Yes.
be saying that. Please tell me how to live, capital L, live. How to live more authentically, how to live more genuinely, how to live more effectively, how to live more efficiently. Yes, how to live more morally, more ethically, how to live with more integrity, how to live more balanced. Yes, isn't that what Limo's
Yes.
asking? Yeah.
Yes.
It's very powerful. Now, um, we're not going to read the whole chapter again because we might never get through it because it's long, but we have more time today, right? And so Biella says, I'll add in my last paragraph to start with. Seems most helpful when it's a long story. And this is a long story that she's coming up to. It all comes down to maintaining perspective and to creating perspective. Whenever we are at a loss in terms of what to do or think or act or choose, all we have to do in order to get clarity is create additional perspective. This is key. It is why abstracting is a cornerstone. It's why abstracting is a cornerstone. It's why abstracting is a cornerstone. When we abstract, we instantly create additional perspectives. When we have perspectives, we can see things in context. And when we can see things in connection to all context, it all becomes simple. And then life is easy. So, as a simple answer, I would just say zoom out. Uh, So, hey, Uncle Tariq, how you doing there? I hear him in the
Wow.
background.
Wow.
It's all
I
good. It's
tried
all good.
to I tried to suppress the noise, but okay, it's all good.
Yeah, because it suppresses noise, not voices.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Okay.
why. That's why. That's okay. That's okay, Beena. I'll read a bit because I'm going to skip and read a bit here, right? So Biella
Yes.
starts with this. This is the last chapter, Her advice to Limo is zoom out. Yes, this is a very powerful advice, because when you zoom out and you look at things from that overview perspective, from universal perspective, you automatically see all of the perspectives, and you see the end of it. Yeah, because you're seeing universal perspective is not only in circumstance context but also in time. Yes, so you look at things in the entirety of your life, not just the moment now. That's universal perspective. We forget this, right? We're so used to this, just our space, left and right, forward, backward. Maybe we think up and down a little bit, but we don't think the fourth dimension, which is time. Yeah, four dimensions, it's like got a mystical quality to it. It's not mystical at all. We do everything in four dimensions. It's inescapable because time is the fourth dimension. When you get to 5 and 6 and goes up to 11, then I have no idea. But we know four dimensions. We know time, yes, and we can think in terms of time. We just out of habit to do so. If you're a planner of some kind, you're always thinking ahead. You're looking forward, right? And you think in terms of time. Yes? And many people have this. They do it. It's very common, like in business or whatever. I mean, like a TV show. Yes, any TV station, they have to plan for the future. You have to produce the TV show. That takes a year or two, and then you're going to air it. That takes it's always thinking in the future. It's quite amazing, right? And you write a book, you have a time dimension involved. All right. Now, I'm going to skip a couple of the key, the reading the entire subsection and just read the heading. So discerning decisions. Yes. And this is Limo. If you want to make your life simpler and you want to learn the difference between heart and mind and that side of us that corrupts us and all of this, yes, learn to discern. That's what it's about. We get lost and we are foolish and we are problematic. Why? Because we don't understand. So hello Norma. Hello Norma. It's okay. Sorry Norma. Oh, I got really involved here, and because I'm using this new platform, I forgot to shift it to the comments. So I was like, oh, there are no comments. Sorry, Norma. Sorry. No. Don't catch up later. Stay here. Love you too, Norma. You're not
Yes, she
interrupting
was
the
saying
flow.
just
Not at all.
just
Not
home
at all.
back now, so I just saw that message
Oh,
also.
oh, I see. Oh, she's just coming home now. Okay, no problem, Norma. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here, Norma. I'm glad you're here. I love that
Hello,
you're here.
Norma.
Never a problem, Norma. Norma. Say again, Beena?
I was just saying hello, Norma.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, I didn't want it to be diluted by what I
Yes,
was saying.
yes,
All right. So this
yes.
point of discernment is a huge point. Learn to discern. I love that it rhymes. Learn to discern. It's like train your brain. Learn to discern. We are so in the habit of thinking, one step thinking, obvious thinking. Life is more than that. If we want to get to resolve these problems, we have to learn to see the layers. We have to learn to see the connections. We have to learn to think bigger picture. See, like my background picture there, right? You see how it's all connected, like that spiral, that which that Fibonacci spiral, like that. That is the moreness, and there's exponential, and it grows, and all of this magical, wonderful stuff, right? It's very cool, really cool. No, it's very important to learn to restore, learn to discern. Yes, it's absolutely cruel. Perfect. No matter how perfect, that's correct. Yeah. All right. So this discerning and decisions. Yes. If you want to solve this about discernment, learn to think things through to the end and learn to see from multiple perspectives. That's precisely what discernment is. In one word, putting those two together, right, Beena? Multiple perspectives. We have to also understand
Yes,
is again, we have to train our brain not to think in that usual. Okay, I know I use the example of walking around a house, but if we really want to discern it, we have to go underneath it, we have to go above it, and look at the house in time as well. Yeah, if we had that ability, how's this house going to be in the future? If I'm
yes,
buying a house, yeah, I have to look at the foundation, I have to look at the roof. I can't just look at the walls. Yeah, I have to look at the foundation. I have to look at the roof. If you're really thorough about buying a house, and you have to look at the past, say, okay, this house was built 30 years ago. How well is it aged? You might look at the house and, man, this house isn't held up to aging very well. And, if it was built 30 years ago, it looks like it's been built 130 years ago. Well, it probably doesn't have very much to go, maybe another 10 years or so, right? Or you could say, wow, this house was built 50 years ago and it's still solid and sturdy. I can quite easily see it doing another 50. See? Discernment's in time. We forget this. We forget this in our life decisions. Discernment is in all dimensions. Yes, left, right, backwards, forwards, up and down, plus time, forward and backward. Yeah. I mean, you can say that's, left, right, that's 2, forward and backward, that's 4, up and down, that's 6, time, past, present, future, that's 7. It's just me. It's not really dimensions, but it's a nice way to think of it. Or at least forward, because you're already thinking all of those others are in the present. So really it's 6 dimensions, maybe 7, depending on how you count it. All right, so discernment, very important. Force of circumstance. So Biella says, now, when you, this is fantastic, right? Biella gives you the obvious answer, right? I mean, she's already started with zoom out, that is a universal perspective, that is discernment from a bigger abstract overview point of view, yes? But she goes further. All of that so far is relying on yourself to learn to be sensible, because that's what the most question is. How can I be more sensible, right? Mabina, would you agree?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
That's essentially what she's saying, right? How can I be more sensible? Yeah. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal. It's a very, very big deal. I want to see if I can leave the message here. I would like to. No, it doesn't. It doesn't do it. Anyway, um, so how can I be more sensible? You agree? That's what Limo's asking in essence, yes?
Exactly.
Okay. Say again?
Exactly.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Now, learning to be sensible on our own is very difficult because, especially if you've been unsensible, insensible, lacked sense in the past, and you've made decisions which you thought were good, but then you realize, oh, come on, really, and it's very depressing. It's very depressing if we realize that even though we've been trying to be sensible, we actually made foolish decisions. Yes. And there are many reasons for this. Our decision making is influenced by our beliefs, typically. And our beliefs are very easily come by for some people. They believe at the drop of a hat. Yes. If the majority says it so, they believe it. That's a legitimate reason. If somebody in authority says so, they believe it. If it's convenient, if they like it, if it's pleasurable, if it's fun, if it matches whatever they have before, they believe it. In other words, they're not believing it because it inherently has value. They believe in it for other reasons. They're not believing it because it's inherently accurate and sensible. No, they're believing it because of all of these other reasons. And really, at the bottom line is sometimes we believe simply because all of those reasons I mentioned, they aren't actually really very valid reasons, because they're ignoring the inherent validity of the position, right? Which is what makes people not be sensible, is that their positions, their thoughts, their ideas come from a root belief. Now, once you've had a root belief, in other words, you lay a foundation, whatever house you built is going to be consequential or relative to that foundation. Yes. I mean, if you put down a small foundation, you're going to have a small house. You can't build a castle from a small foundation. Yes. But you can also build a fantasy from a fantasy foundation. So you can build that castle when your foundation is a fantasy foundation, but it's not real. Yes. And this is what I mean by beliefs affecting people's later judgment, because they create this entire reality as a consequences, right? You get step 1 leads to step 2, step 3, step 4. Now, To go from the fantasy, the flawed belief system, to the first step, the first consequence, there's like, okay, your premise is a bit shaky here, but okay, well, I can see that coming from it. But here's the problem. When we go down the chain of consequence from that first starting belief, yes, when you get to step 100 and 101, right, the logic of step 101 is perfectly logical and rational following from step 100. So we get lost in our fantasy and we start believing that all the steps are logical. Just because the steps are logical doesn't make your base premise logical. Yeah. So you may have a logical consequence in those two steps. It's a very important understanding this, that we can confuse a logic coming from something that was started off, which is illogical, right? In other words, let's say I start off with the premise that I'm trying to think of a major illogical premise or unreasonable presence, not necessarily illogical. Well, uh, okay, I'm going to take an unreasonable premise because I can't think of an illogical one. An unreasonable premise would be, I don't like you, and therefore I'm going to kill you. I mean, there's a kind of a logic to it. Yes, it's not a very
Yes.
good logic. Now I'm using an extreme position, and you say, yeah, but that's not
Yes.
realistic. Unfortunately, it is. Seriously, this has happened, right? But I'm making a point though. Now the person says, okay, and now they go, I'm going to kill you, and they start actually realistically thinking about it, and they get all immersed in killing it. And by the time they're starting to think about how, well, it would be very logical to kill them when nobody's around. Well, okay, that's of course that makes total sense. I'm sensible, I'm logical. Of course, you got to do it and have no witnesses. You see what I mean? They get lost there. They this idea of, well, to kill the person and have no witnesses. This is very logical. It's sensible. It doesn't make your original premise sensible. It makes that one step, that point sensible. Yeah? It's a very big confusion here. So when you start to get immersed, you lose sight of the original thing that started it, which was, I don't like you, I'm going to kill you. It's like completely unreasonable. And it's a bit illogical also in a way. Just because you don't like somebody, it's not really a logical reason to kill them. You know what I mean? It's more reasonable than logical. Logic a little different, but it makes my point that once you lose sight of what started your chain, you get caught up in the end, which makes total sense, but you forget the beginning. Very important to forget to make note of that and understand how did this chain start, this immersion, this bubble that you're in. Where did it come from? How did it start? Yes, this is very important. And sometimes it can start with simple misperception. Yes, we don't see something we don't realize. Okay, your boss is having a bad day, and the boss comes and says, Beena, get me that file. Uh, the boss hates me. Yeah, the boss doesn't hate you. The boss is just having a bad day. And
Yes.
I've seen this many, many times. I was actually thinking of a very specific example. Okay, it's a very peculiar example. I'll tell the story in a moment. But the boss was simply taking it out on you. And peculiar in philosophy of opposite, they may actually do it because they like you. How does that work?
Say it again, please.
All right, so you working happily there, la 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 la. Beena's
Yes.
working on the computer, right? And the boss comes
Yes.
along. Beena, get me that file. And Beena goes,
Yes.
the boss hates me.
Hmm.
Boss is just having a bad day, and they took it out on you. Why did they take it out on you and not anybody else? Because they like you,
Yes.
and they know you like them, and because you're a nice person, and because can they can vent at you without negative consequence.
Yes.
Yeah. Ah, so when I was 17, my story where I first realized this, at least maybe before, but I remember this so specifically. Yes, it's not so much liking, but where people focus on where they think they can get away with it rather than where it would actually make a difference. So I was in a pub. Right? The drinking age was 18. I was underage. Doesn't matter. And my friend and I. And yes, Beena, I know. I was in a pub, and it was fun. And the pub had a live musician, and the drinking part wasn't, okay. I was still a little bit trying to get into it because it was supposed to be cool, but I couldn't. So anyway, it was a very brief period, I got to tell you. But what was fun about this particular pub, it was called Rompies. I still remember that. It was a fun name. And it had this a musician who told jokes and sang and entertained, in other words. But what he particularly did was sing kind of bar songs, sailor songs, and they typically kind of a bit raunchy and a bit wild, but they made for singing together, right? And when you sing that type of song together, like, it's a lot of fun. Anyway, he got the crowd really going on this particular night, and the pub had nice, very thick, solid wooden tables that you sat at, right? And of course, everybody smoked in those days, and they had ashtrays, these glass ashtrays like this. And somebody started, in tune to the song, started taking the ashtray and banging on the table, bang, bang with the ashtray. And it makes a fantastically loud noise. It's quite brilliant, right? It's hard to imagine unless you do that, when you smack that ashtray flat on the table like that. And so the whole pub, I don't know, probably 100 people in there, all banging on the table in time to the song, singing this raucous, like, those sailor songs. I don't know what to call them. But anyway, all singing this, very loudly and boisterously and banging on this table. And this was making an incredible noise. And so the manager comes out, and he was a fairly youngish guy who probably got his job because he was brown nosing or had influence or something. He wasn't suited for the job of managing something like that. And he was insecure and a bit wimpy and all that. And so he comes, stop, stop, stop. And of course, nobody took him seriously at all. He had zero authority. It was a very stupid thing to do as well, to try and get us to stop, because he was worried about the ashtrays breaking or something stupid. Dude, you've got a pub full of guys, and well, a woman too, people that are having the most incredible fun time here. Come and kill it now. So what if you break a few ashtrays? The cost of them coming back and remembering and talking about this is going to be, Anyway, I that's what I thought at the time. Your inappropriateness here is ridiculous. But as he's going around, stop, stop, stop. Well, he shouted to the room in general, right? And nobody listened to him. But then he saw me and my friend. We were by far the youngest in the pub there, right? I mean, there's nobody even close to our age. And so, yeah, somebody will listen to me or respect my authority because they're young. And he zoomed in on us, and he tried. We just ignored him as well. And it didn't work. But I saw how he looked around. Nobody was listening to him. And he saw, oh, here's somebody that I can dominate and be, bully and put pressure on, and they'll listen to me. So in other words, what I'm saying is, it's part of that superiority paradigm that people pick their victims. Yes. And when your boss is in a bad mood, okay, it's an extension of the same logic. They come at you because you're a nice person, and you'll forgive them for venting, whereas others won't, right? And they like you because you're a nice person. Yeah. So when they come and are just venting at you and being inappropriate, it's not because they hate you. No, it's because they love you. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Yes,
Philosophy of
very
opposite.
typical idea of VMS also.
Correct. Correct. I mean, he might not be your boss, or she might not be a typical BMN. She might just be having a bad day. But that
Yes.
culture, it still influences, yes? That I want
Yes.
to vent, but I also want to get away with my venting. Yes. Yeah. I think I need to add that into philosophy of opposite. Yeah. You agree? I don't know if I have it in there or not,
Yes.
but it is a good thing to add in there. Uh, so it's nasty because of nice, right? It's a very peculiar thing. 49. So this actually, we're on chapter 51 already, Beena. Isn't that nice?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay. Um, but it's a powerful understanding. I see this very often, that nice people get disproportionately abused because the abusers know they can get away with it. And we have to be very aware of that. We have to be very, very aware of that. And, it's likewise. People aren't nice with those that they really love for the same reason, their partners and that. Yeah. Stress, negativity, it boils out. You take it on those who you know are going to absorb it and forgive you. But no, this thinking has to stop. That's absolutely the very last people to do it with. So not good at all. All right. Let's continue here with discernment. Now, I'm making the point here in a bigger picture. I got a little bit, went on a side mission there. But the answer that Limo is asking is how to be sensible, yes, and how to avoid all of these problems. And Biella says, first of all, she's with the end there, she says, zoom out, get the overview perspective, get the biggest possible perspective. But that doesn't always mean what we think it means, especially not the way Biella means it. Yes. Now we're going to see. So first of all, discerning of decisions, especially, right? If you make good decisions, then the rest follows. If you make impeccable decisions, the rest follows, right? Right. Now, she says, but
Yes.
how? Biella wants to be practical. And she says, typically we assume sensibility is something that comes from inside. Isn't that the obvious assumption when it comes to decisions? Yes, Ina? The sensibility, I mean. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Right. We just assume, we say, okay, Limo, you really asking how do you get more sensible? Well, okay, you get more sensible by learning, by studying, by understanding, by practicing, all of the usual things. But all of those are within the context of you yourself acquiring sensibility or wisdom or insight or even discernment, the personal quality. But Biella goes further. This is the magic of Biella. She says, however, go further. There's more. Yes, what you can do in terms of understanding when you've got this choice, right? Because that's what she's asking here. Choices. When do I listen? When do I act? In other words, she's asking how do I know when to make the decision, when to do, whether it's listening or not doing or doing whatever. Right? She's asking about decision making. Yes. So that's why this subheading is about discerning decisions. Then Biella goes further. She says, however, we can't trust ourselves. We're knuckleheads. We're fools. We're nincompoops. Yes, we don't know. We know we're not sensible. Yes, and some people have a history of being more or less sensible than others, right? And then they have learned to not trust their sensibility, rightly so, because they've legitimately made really poor decisions, right? So Biella says there's a way you can go past yourself. That is, the simplest conceptualization is living via force of circumstance. To me, force of circumstance in itself, just that conception, if you think about it, living via force of circumstance. What the heck would force? You can figure it out. Force of circumstance is not living via your internal sensibility, your internal decision making, correct? It's living according to the force of circumstance. It's self-explanatory. And it's self-evident what it means. Correct, Beena? Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I just want to make sure we're on the same page here, right? That I'm not
Yes.
don't have to
Yes.
re-explain something. Okay.
No, no,
So
no.
then, Biella, I'm catching us up here. I'm catching us up here to where we were yesterday. So yesterday we went into what does Biella mean by force of circumstance, attention, etc., right? And aligning to pattern, aligning to rhythm. I can just pick out the capitalized words here. Immersion into pattern. Yes, you see, when you just pick out these connected, right? You just pick out the capitalized terms. It tells you align to pattern. That's it. Wonderful. All right, now we come to attunement. Yes, which attunement is force of circumstance is when things are really pressing on you, right? So force of circumstance is reactive. Attunement is proactive. I don't think I've ever said it in that specific way before.
Yes. Never.
And you know what? You know what? You know what, Beena? Watch. Yes, attunement, proactive. Yes?
Yes. Yes.
What's happening, Uncle Tarek? What's going on? Sounds very excited there. Or was that the TV? anger build up. All right. So this attunement being proactive is very, very important. Yes, you are setting yourself ahead of time to start getting connected, so that when things, if you part of this attunement and you connected, you interactive, you immersed in pattern, but in the larger overall pattern, not the pattern of the past, the ongoing pattern. And also attunement involves some form of extrapolation and anticipation, right, to as much as possibly that you can. So it means you're ready for what's coming, which means that you see what's happening and you can make a decision, at least tentatively or multiple. You can arrange your choices, and then when it comes to crunch time, okay, they fall away, and all right, there's one left, the best one. There you go. Right. So attunement is a big deal. So she says, this, the more attuned, the more we are tapped into the rhythm of the jungle. Very simple. Very simple. I mean, when you actually literally take creatures of the jungle, yes, and you take people specifically, right, who live in literal jungles, yeah, you attune to the rhythm of the jungle. You know when danger's coming. But some people are la 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 in their own bubble. Next thing, the tiger eats you. This is a very literal example. Very literal. It still happens today. Tigers still eat people today. Yes, just by the way. Okay. Still happens. It's not something in the way distant past. It still happens. All right. I'm getting messages there. Are there something I need to attend to, Beena? You can see. I don't want to go look there now.
Yeah, just a minute. I'm taking.
Okay. Okay. No. I'm not done talking. Restream says, looks like you're done talking. No, I'm not done talking. All right. While you're checking that, we come to the next section, and I think we were past this. Which the next subsection here is making peace with the unknown. Yes, when you live in attunement, you have to trust this, and well, not have to, but you learn to, capital T, trust attunement. Why? Because if you live with it, and in the beginning, you can let me see how this works. Just test it. Be skeptical. Yes, trust suspiciously. Yes, trust without trusting. Test it. Test it. Yes, the moment you start testing, you soon see that you get real rewards, and you very quickly learn to trust attunement. It's incredible, right? We do need to have the ability to discern depth. If you don't discern depth, you're going to miss out of all the wonderful things that attunement's bringing you. We need to understand that attunement brings you what you need to learn, not what you want to learn, not what you think to learn, but what you truly, truly, deeply at the bottom of yourself know, in the heart of hearts and your soul of souls, that you need to learn. The stuff that you've been avoiding learning, for instance. Or if you love learning, the stuff that you don't even realize you need to learn, right? It's incredible. The magic of it is too incredible. Once you prove it to yourself, it blows your mind off, right? But you've got to make that effort to test it and prove it to yourself, right? That's why in rules of sentience, it's rule 1 and 2. Yes. Enhancement and development of the awareness, and ROS. It's actually, yeah, you got ROS 0, ROS 1, ROS 2. And rule of sentience 2 says the universe is geared towards assisting you in the enhancement and development. Everything that happens is there for good reason. That good reason is, or at least there's a good reason in it, and that good reason is you learning, growing. Yes, learning in the capital L sense, learning in the Moreness sense. But we have to make peace with the unknown. If we're always fearing the unknown, it's going to corrupt us, because if the unknown is always seen as a negative, that means the future is kind of always negative, because the future is by definition unknown. Yes, we have to make peace with the unknown. Otherwise, it corrupts our entire perspective. And people who worry a lot, like severe worry pots, yes, to them, unknown equals stress. Therefore, future unknown. Therefore, future stress. See the connection? Yeah. If A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is also equal to C. Yes? Elementary math logic. Right?
Yes.
So unknown equals scary. Future
Yes.
equal unknown. Therefore, future equals scary. Yes?
Yes.
A, B, C tied together. Yes. So
Yes.
making peace with the unknown. Change
Okay,
the
about the
unknown.
messages. Sorry, the messages. Okay, they were just late messages coming from James. He was saying I was locked out of chat, so nothing like that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Norma,
Okay. He
yes,
told
and
me when
Norma
he
is making
came.
comments.
James was the customer, and he got 821.
Yes.
Sorry, 812, 812, 812. So we must
Mhm.
mark it later as sold. All right. So
Yes.
yeah. So maybe just message there to me in Messenger. Just put
I will take
812. So yeah.
I will take care of it. Please continue.
Okay. Okay. And it sold for $1 more than the one that he was looking at, right? Even though it's a
Okay.
discount on 812. All right. Anyway, so this making peace with the unknown. Change the unknown to moreness. If we start to look at the unknown, in other words, the future as moreness, wow, what a change. Your whole life changes right there in this one shift. Yes, yes, yes. I think I want to put into this as a quote here. Yes. You agree, Beena?
Yes.
To put a quote
Yes.
here that says,
Please.
I don't know what it's going to say just yet. By the way, for writers, creators, I know what I want to say more or less. I want to make this some quote about unknown and moreness, that shifting it, changing it, moreness future. Right? That's the point I want to make as a quote. I have no idea what I'm going to say yet, because I haven't gotten to saying it yet. I have to just get things ready. Okay, I've got the format bar. What's covering the format bar? There we go. Right. I need to center it before I start my quote. And then I need to put the exclamation, and then I need to do the italics. Now I'm ready to start. Just because you don't know, don't worry. When you actually start writing, it will come to you. You have to trust us. Beena trusts us when she paints, when she does poetry. We've learned this. Somebody was asking about, Lisa was asking me about the creative process. Lisa, it's something we worked on very, very deliberately. Yes, to maximize and leverage your moreness. Yes. It's very, very, very potent. Yeah, yeah. Shifting the unknown. I better stop, because if I stop talking, then Restream thinks something's wrong, and it does stuff. Shifting the unknown to moreness transforms the future. Yes? Isn't that a cool quote? Came out
Yes.
nicely. Came out nicely. Again, I had no idea, right? But that's what I wanted to say. And I wanted to add it in as a quote here, because Biella was on a theme here, and so she didn't specifically make this point about unknown and moreness, because she's on a bigger theme, right? But it's nice to throw it in as a quote there, because this is, even though I'm making the quote right now, it doesn't matter. I'm sure if I go to my quote file, I'll have plenty from other times. But the reason why it's effective as a quote is because it doesn't now change the story, or at least the answer, the flow of the answer, right? It can be in addition, and it's not like, hey, where do you suddenly come with this? A quote can suddenly come with something that's more overview, more ineffable, connected sort of somehow, right? But it brings this entirety together. And it's a really cool quote here, right? Making peace with the unknown. Shifting the unknown to moreness transforms the future. A fantastic quote. It's a fantastic quote. I love it. I love it. Well done, brain. Well done, brain. Well done, brain. Not grain, brain. Well done, brain. And now look at my discipline. Yes, I go and add it to my quote file. Yes. Yeah, moreness is more than more, the last one here. Right, so I'll put that in there, and this becomes a Biella quote. Yes. What a wonderful quote from Biella. That's exactly what Biella would say. Very cool. But it's nice to add those in. I got tons that I could extract and add, but I want to publish that at some point as, you know, quotes, Biella quotes, or Biella series quotes. Yeah? Yeah. Impeccable character. And we came to this point of impeccable character. Do you remember where we stopped yesterday, Beena? I think, yeah, dealing with the awful truth, no? Or where? Yeah, because I remember that word. And unbiased testing.
Yes.
That's where we were, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to continue in going through these chapters, making peace with the unknown, impeccable character. Again, to answer Limo, you are asking how to be sensible. Is how to live. Yes, develop impeccable character. What does impeccable character mean? It means having yourself set up in such a way that you make best use of your energy. The best example is honesty, particularly self-honesty. Yes, we lie to ourselves. Yes, and we think this is cool. Why? Because it avoids dealing with the awful truth, dealing with unpleasantness, blah, 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 right? Avoiding responsibility. What happens when you do that? Are you truly saving energy? No. Why? Because those problems build up, build up, build up, and they become so big that they become undealable, right? Unresolvable almost, at least in your belief system. And then you never deal with them, and you always have these problems pressing on you all of your life. Yes. These issues, not just problems, but issues that you never resolve. Yes. The issue of, I don't know, let's say your ego. Yes. Or maybe your arrogance. You don't want to deal with your arrogance. I mean, it's people are inadvertently arrogant. They don't mean to be, but they are sometimes. All right. Norma says, thank you, Beena. She said it a while ago, and I forgot to say, to comment on it, right? Yeah. So, did you see? Norma,
Yes.
Beena's doing other things while we're talking, and she's listening, but
Yes.
she's taking care of business, so she might not see your comment there. So we always appreciate your comments. We don't always get to respond to them right away. I do try, but we don't always get to. Anyway, back to impeccable character. So, Limo, if you want to learn how to distinguish between heart and mind, false heart, not, we tend to think our heart is always true. No, it's not. Your heart may be true in what it does, but it doesn't mean it can't lead you astray. How many people have gotten into bad relationships and they loved the person and they turned out to be a BMN? I can't tell you how many times I've seen this and how sad it is. And then they stick with the person because that love has conditioned them. It's trained the brain through emphasis it's rewired your brain to see this person as somebody you love. Therefore, they must be good. Doesn't matter that they beat you every day. They must be good because you love them. See how that logic works? You have to have bigger perspective, right? Logic can be very tricky if it's in a limited bubble. Yes. And sometimes what we think is logical is complete and utter nonsense. The most famous example is Spock from Star Trek, right? When the series started, Spock was this paragon of logic and reason. Yes. I mean, it was the Vulcan, no emotions, all logical. It was revolutionary. Spock was a revolutionary character. Yes. People loved Spock. He was huge. I cannot overestimate how huge Spock was, right? Still is, right? I mean, it was huge because of this paragon of logic and reason. Yes. And yet, his most famous thing that he said, right? His most famous statement. If you look up Spock quotes, yes, probably the thing that made him his character. Emotions are illogical. Emotions are illogical. He said this many times throughout the series. It's a constant thing. That statement is illogical. It's the most ironic and incredible thing ever. To say emotions are illogical is an illogical statement. Inappropriate use of emotions is illogical, yes, but emotions themselves are very logical. They give us joy, they give us pleasure. Even the negative ones, they have value. Yes, I mean, anger can help you win a fight if you need to. It can make you assertive, authoritative. There's lots of good reasons for things, which if you're getting benefit and value from something and you do it, that's logical. See? In and of themselves, they aren't logical or illogical. They're just emotions. It's like saying a screwdriver is illogical. It's a screwdriver. It's not logical or logical. How you use it may be illogical. That, and if you're trying to use a screwdriver to loosen a nut, right, to unwrench it, well, that's a bit illogical. It's not made for this. You see, I mean, it may be logical in the sense that that's the only tool you have, and you're trying anyway. See? Logic is dependent on circumstance. Logic is contextual. It's not in and of itself. It was a profound misunderstanding of logic by Spock. It's the most brilliant and incredible and sad issue, really. Yes, that whoever wrote that, the writer had no clue about logic, but it sounded good, and who cares? As long as it sounds good, We have to be very careful with Hollywood. We have to be very careful with Hollywood, yes, because of things like that, yeah. I've never really ever seen anybody point this out, right? It's fantastic to me. And of course, they don't want to because it'll make them very unpopular with the Trekkies. Yeah, I'm sorry, Trekkies. It's just the reality. You know, Spock was incredibly illogical. Yes. Sometimes it was, but in general, not. All right, impeccable character. Yes. If you're going to say best use of energy, things like lying, anybody knows, right? I mean, there's a nice little poem about lies and our lies beget lies. I forget, Mary Berman always used to quote that. And I think Norma, you sometimes say something about it, right? Where they grow and they complex. I forget. It's like a little poem rhyme thing that says, let's see. It was almost there. But anyway, lying in general, it causes more trouble than it's worth. Yes, poor use of energy. It's only a short-term benefit that you get. Longer term, no. Especially people who deal in lies, they have to keep lying. They have to keep lying. Yes, okay. If you're a Trump supporter, you might not like this, but I'm sorry, he lies all the time. It's not my opinion. You can go and look it up. You can go and fact checking, and he's got to support those and build up, and it becomes a huge edifice. And it's starting to crumble. People aren't believing him anymore because you can only get away with it for so long, right? I mean, if you want to believe, then it's a different issue. None so easy to deceive as those so willing to believe. And I have another variation of the quote. None so easy to deceive as those so desperate to believe. Yes, goes both ways. If you're desperate to believe, if you're willing to believe, you're easy to deceive. You have to be very careful. You see this all the time. People get into relationships, they're willing to believe that they're being loved, and BMNs come and they exploit this. Yes, don't be very careful. Be very careful. Yeah, I mean, you must go around distrusting everything. No, learn to trust without trusting. Yes, trust but verify. Isn't that the first rule of a lot of things? Trust but verify. All right, so impeccable character. If you really work on your character, just start with honesty. That's it. Character, good character, integrity. Isn't that like when we think of having impeccable character, you think of having integrity? Yes, being honest. There you go. Just those two. Integrity means you don't have holes like a hull, like a ship. Yes, those old wooden ships, and they don't leak. They're properly built. They don't have leaks. The hull integrity is 100%. Yeah, that's it. You want to be now. You can have a little bit of leakage in a boat. It's not an issue. There's always a bit of water in the bottom of the bilge there. That's what's called bilge water. But if it builds up, it becomes a real problem because it will cause you to have inappropriate balance, right? Like in an old sailing ship. The moment the wind comes and the boat leans a bit, what happens to the water in the bilge? It rushes to the wrong side of the boat and causes you to tip even further. Isn't that incredible? When everything is calm and fine and the boat is, just a little mild breeze, then the boat is upright. It's not an issue. And that's the problem with lies, right? The lies is like those leaks in your hull that lets the water in. When everything's okay, the lie doesn't cause a problem. But the moment you get a little bit of pressure and the things start to tilt a little bit, now those lies have a disproportional influence and it causes you to tip further. And, when they build up, that bilge water will literally cause your boat to capsize. Yeah, of course, that bilge water lying down there, it gets unpleasant. I mean, bilge water is synonymous with being rotty and stinky and horrible. That's why bilge rats is like an insult, right? And but this now that water becomes toxic down there. Not only that, but it starts to rot the wood of the boat from the inside, and eventually the whole thing falls apart. Yes, or you can say, well, okay, I've got the water, but I got to pump it out. Yeah. Now, of course, over time, with this water in your hull there, yes, you get more and more leaky. So you have to pump more and more and more and more. That's what people will do. Yes. So when you think of bilge water and hull integrity and lies as being that bilge water and the consequence of it, yes, what happens? Not only does it make you unstable, well, at least the tiniest thing that happens, that bilge water rushes around inside there and it makes negative ballast, which is horrible, and can tip you over and cause you to collapse and capsize and sink. And eventually the lies will sink you because you have less and less soul integrity and you get more in the pumping. You can't keep up with defending your lies and making more lies, which is what the pumping is, right? To get all that out. And it gets really frantic and you can't keep up and then your boat sinks or capsizes. It's very, very key. So having integrity, it really means something. Yes. I mean, especially if you take it with this hull integrity example. I love this example. It's an absolutely brilliant example, right? And of course, that bilge water down there, you have to not allow anybody to go down into your lower hulls there because, man, it stinks down there with that bilge water. See? And that's how people who deal in lies. That's how their lives are. They can't let anybody in because it's all smelly and not good. Not good. You know, we've been taught to fear honesty. Can you elaborate on that, please, Beena, while I drink some water?
Yes, because being honest is sometimes it was like being rude. And also the culture, especially I must say in my surrounding, the British culture, the Victorian culture influence
Yeah.
was really strong. So it was like, okay, like you were mentioning about ladies, when woman wants to go to use the toilet, you cannot say that.
Yeah. Can't
Like, okay,
say it.
I'm going to loo, the powder room, and all sort of things. Then they cannot
The
do that.
washroom, the water closet, all the stuff. You
Yes,
couldn't
and
use the
also
word toilet. Yeah.
yes, and
It's
even
avoidance of the awful truth. But you know, with honesty though, who
okay,
taught us to fear honesty, to avoid honesty?
the
BMNs.
consequences,
Why? Because they, of course, if they're going to push this because it benefits them, because they're always lying. Yeah. So they cover their own backsides by saying, oh, honesty, fear honesty, honesty is detrimental, honesty causes trouble. No, it doesn't.
yes.
It causes trouble for you, BMN, not for everybody.
That's why I had that name, Big Mouth. Not
Exactly. And it
because that I
was
do talk a lot. No,
exactly.
it was
No,
because of the honesty and of course the
right,
lack of
right.
skills to use capital D
Yeah,
diplomacy.
yeah.
I was lacking in those skills because if someone is saying and something and doing something else, and if they will ask me, I would say that this is how I was, and I would say
Yeah,
it right,
yeah,
exactly the way it was. It
yeah,
was
yeah.
not bad, of course, according to the basic things of my understanding. It was right
No.
to say it exactly how it was. But of course, I learned the hard way that, okay, no, you have to be polite. You can't say that. And sometimes people completely deny that, especially in cases of children. I'm just taking it to on a more serious note here because I just recently, somehow I got something in my newsfeed where a victim of abuse, child abuse, was sharing about it. And she was saying that that guy who was coming, she actually says single parents mostly they are magnet for the pedophiles because they attract them. And
Yeah.
my mother was also like that, and the guy started coming, and then one day he was like, okay, he was bringing her crayons and colors and drawing books and chocolates, and then she says he was touching her inappropriately,
Oh,
but after that he actually took her to somewhere, and that was the thing. But what he
yeah.
says that after they were coming back, she was just 5, and she was saying that okay, she was specifically mentioned that I had no vocabulary of what was happening and what was involved.
Yes. Yes,
I
that's
was
why
amazed.
conceptuality is so important, not vocabulary. I mean, she didn't even have the vocabulary to express it properly. She had no
Yes,
conceptuality, not vocabulary. Yes,
and
vocabulary
that
is a
guy
consequence
simply,
of it.
yes, and that guy simply just said that okay, oh, you I love you, and you love your mother. And she says, yes, of course. Or every child would say that. And she says, yes.
Yeah,
He says that,
yeah,
okay, you want to see her happy and alive. That was the only thing. And she says that after that, when of course everything at some point it just opened, it get open. And instead of asking her in a separate or a private conversation, her mother actually just asked her in front of that person. And she
Oh,
says, first,
wow.
I had no vocabulary. Second, I had that thing in my mind. He didn't say
Yes,
anything threatening. He just say,
yes,
"Oh, you love your
yes,
mom. You want to
yes,
see her alive."
yes,
That's it.
yes. Yeah, now
Implication.
she's dealing with
Implication.
impeccable character, unimpeccable character, but she's not
Yes.
really able to comprehend it because she doesn't understand impeccable character in the first place, right? This
Yes.
to get back and to connect what you're saying. Look, contextual appropriateness. Yes,
Yes. Yes.
didn't understand this.
Yes.
Also, now all of this is Biella giving Limo tools to use, right? She explains contextual appropriateness, right? And understanding this and talking about uh, using alignment and all of this, right?
Yes.
Decision making is
Yes.
simple and
Just
yeah.
want to add something, sir,
Oh,
a
please go
second
ahead. Sorry,
before,
sorry. So I
because
thought you were done.
yeah, no, because that was really important for me. If
Yeah,
in from the very beginning, if honesty was like really a big thing in their family, that child, no matter how, she's going to
exactly,
utter that and communicate that. So,
exactly.
but the lack of honesty was there. She learned
Yes,
to not say things, and also
yes,
that
yes,
to have this trust between people. I'm not saying only
yes,
parents or children,
yes,
but in
yes.
relationship. That if you would say something which is like not nice, not good, you made a mistake, you made a blunder, you were
Yeah,
foolish, whatever.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you have the trust that if I will say something honestly, that person will understand and I will not have to bear
Exactly,
the consequences
exactly.
alone.
And they will be tolerant of poor expression.
Exactly. That is
This
something
is
really,
impeccable
really.
character. Impeccability of character isn't only having integrity, but it's also having lack of ego, inappropriate ego. Yes,
Exactly.
and this is going to come up in the next section, yeah, which
This is why when you were mentioning honesty, I was like, really, this is the bedrock of everything.
exactly, exactly. It's why it's the absolute first thing when you come and do any of my programs. It's the requirement, right? If you want to do my programs, you have to agree to be self-honest and honest both together. Yes, yeah, very important, very
I do
important.
make a lot of mistakes during my regular work with Syl, and sometimes okay, yes, it's a blunder,
It
and it is
happens.
going to
Yeah.
happen. But I always come and tell him,
Of
even though
course, of
sometimes
course.
I know
And
that,
me
oh,
too.
I can hide easily. Of course, I cannot. I'm not going to lie, but
No,
I cannot
no,
just tell him.
no,
But even that
no.
is something I feel that no, it's not
No, you
needed.
can't.
I'm
No,
going
you
to
can't.
share with
No, you
him.
can't.
It's
Exactly,
I'm going to
exactly.
share with him. That's it. This is
Right.
the
And this is
honesty.
the
This is the
important
trust.
understanding, yes, that
Yes.
Biella is trying to share with Limo, or is sharing, not trying to, she is. Yes, we get caught up in this doubting ourselves because, well, if you're not really self-honest and you're dealing in not honest, well, then you sort of lose track of what's true. Yeah? Furthermore, we tend to, when people do lie, and good people, I'm talking about good people now, right? Not vehemence. When good people lie, why? Because they don't want to deal with the awful truth. And it's why this is why she's saying, as a list of things, right? We've been going through these subheadings here: contextual appropriateness, impeccable character, making peace with the unknown. Right? All of them are tools specifically for being more sensible. Yes, dealing with the awful truth is a huge one. Do you want to read, or do you want me to read? This is where we were yesterday.
I can read.
All right, please, please. All right, so now, just to put this in the bigger context, yes,
Yes.
Limo asked, what is the difference between, mind and, I forget the question, but essentially I rephrased that question into, how can I be sensible? Not more sensible, sensible. Yeah,
Yes.
there's a difference
Yes.
between the two. Now, when we understand Biella's answer, her response in this context, that she's sharing of how to be and live sensibly. Yes. And how to be, in
Yes.
other words, to be sensible is to make good decisions. And that was the very first thing, right? Discerning decisions, understanding about decision making and utilizing discernment. But she said, she went further. She said, we can't, we have to be careful with internal decisions, because my decisions are only as good as my awareness and my information, etc. right? So my decisions are a bit dubious, a bit doubtful. Yeah. So then she brought up force of circumstance and attunement. But now she's going a little deeper into saying what factors might prevent us and might complicate things and what else is involved. Yes, and go further. And so she came with this, contextual appropriateness, impeccable character. Those are things which can get in the way of stability, right? In other words, inappropriateness and not understanding context. And also now we get to dealing with the awful truth. So please read, Beena. Wonderful. Hello,
Yes.
Norma. I just want to say hello to Norma again.
Yes.
Hello, Norma.
Have you ever used the word like downloading and channeling?
Who, me?
Yes.
Channeling, no, but downloading, yes.
Okay.
I mean, in the
Okay.
context similar to, sometimes I download creativity. You ask me an earnest question, and
Yes.
then it's like I receive a download, like this info dump, and it all comes out.
I was
Yeah,
expecting like, okay, it is not going to be because the whole idea of the even Biella's answer, it's not a download. It's a practical implementation of all the
yeah,
ideas there.
yeah.
So that was something I was expecting. Okay. Anyway,
Now,
dealing with the
the
awful
way the
truth.
brain is through emphasis, by the way, I can imagine if I got super, super into emphasizing Biella and speaking as Biella, my brain could train itself and I could develop a separate brain inside me, right? I mean, just my brain could get so trained that there's a part of my brain, like having multiple operating systems on your computer. It's quite possible. Yes, you could run Windows and Linux or whatever on the same computer. And it's quite possible to do this. And the brain, likewise, is capable of having multiple operating systems. In other words, I could have emphasized my brain so much that Biella becomes a separate personality, distinct from Syl. Yes. And therefore, I could channel Biella, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Just a way of emphasizing the brain. Now, with channeling, they're saying it is some extraterrestrial, alien, alternative being, spirit, whatever. Okay, maybe, but it could also simply be through inappropriate emphasis that it's become inside your brain that way. I'm not saying that they aren't there. It's quite, there's no way I can say there aren't spirits or aliens. It's quite possible. It doesn't mean because it's possible, it is so. But likewise, it's equally possible that it could simply be a part of their brain through emphasis. And they're not aware of it. I don't mean they're dishonest. I mean, there are some people who are clearly, blatantly, simply pretending to channel for their own benefit, right? I mean, you can just see them that they're lying through their backsides and they're pretending and they're phony as all get up. Anyway, dealing with the awful truth. Please, let's get to
Dealing with the
this.
awful truth. Where lie the problems? Almost always with ego, with the word you gave me yesterday.
Junkiness.
What?
I didn't say it, but let's say junkiness.
Okay. Okay. Almost always with ego, with junkiness. If we do things for ego reasons, for self-importance, vanity, pride, relative superiority, and so on, this is almost always where problems come in, as these motivations are in discord to those universal goals, to our life goals, to the goals which truly matter to us. Ego based goals and motivations are doomed because they are dependent on others. Thus, we can never truly be free as long as ego goals are a part of our overall goal process. As long as self importance, ego goals are important to us, we are doomed to not being able to be free. We will always be slaves to others, to society, culture, advertising, etc. Slaves to ego, approval, and attention. This is why character, specifically integrity, impeccability, and the ability to deal with the awful truth, are so key. We need then to break away from the primacy of primacy.
Primacy.
Yes, primacy of the ego dominated culture. And when it comes to linking our inner world to the outer, in order to facilitate our decision making. Oh, I won't read this again. We need then to break away from the primacy of ego-dominated culture. And when it comes to linking our inner world to the outer in order to facilitate our decision making, it's imperative our inner world is not obfuscated and corrupted by the pettiness of ego.
Yes. Okay. So, Beena, there isn't a direct synonym for this word, yeah, crappiness, right? But I put in here for Beena, which next time if we read it, you can say with deliberate listening behavior.
Yes. Yes.
You like that?
I like that. Much better
Now,
than
now,
junkiness.
yeah, junkiness was just what came to me in the moment there, and that's why that doesn't work. It's not the same. Junkiness means something else again. Deliberate listening behavior, yes, or deliberate habitual, even better, yes, deliberate
Oh, yes.
slash habitual listening behavior, habitual, not habitual. Right? I mean that gives a nice understanding of what I mean. And like I said, I can't think of a word that other than this, a direct synonym that is as accurate. I should go look it up.
Yes, yes, yes,
But anyway,
yes.
now it's there for okay. With that,
Deliberate
what do we mean
habitual
by it?
lesson
Deliberate
behavior.
habitual listening behavior. Right.
Yes.
Deliberate or habitual listening behavior, or both. That's why I put the slash there, right? I mean, it can
Yes.
be deliberate and habitual. It can be habitual without being deliberate. Either way.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So this dealing with the awful truth is so huge. Yes. And this
Yes.
part here, especially, as long as self-importance, ego goals are important to us, we are doomed to not be able to be free. We are doomed to not being able to be free. It's incredible, right? Incredible statement. As long as self-importance, ego goals are important to us, we are doomed to not being able to be free. Not being able to be free. Not doomed to not being free, doomed to not being able to be free. Yes? Huge, just absolutely huge.
Yes.
Very simple, but this is why we don't want to deal with the awful truth, because we think it's awful and it's unpleasant and there's no value to dealing with it, but there's a massive cost. Yes, and this is the problem with why people are dishonest, because they don't want to deal with the awful truth. Yes, or at least why they're not fully honest. I don't mean they're necessarily dishonest, but some are also. Yeah, but they're not honest with themselves necessarily. But this point of being able, I want to emphasize able there. Yeah, we are doomed to not being able to be free. Yeah, we will always be slaves to others, to society, culture, advertising, etc. Slaves to ego, approval, and attention. Yeah, I mean, this is just huge point. So get free of that. If you aren't, like whoever came on, I'm going to look dumb in. I said, yeah, but she said, yeah, I'm okay being dumb in front of you, but I'm not okay being dumb in public. Come on, let it go. When you have an issue with looking stupid, you cue others to think you are stupid. It's quite fascinating. It's just the opposite logic again. Yes. The moment you
Actually,
stop caring about
this word is stupid is not appropriate to use here, because mostly people want to say that, okay, oh, I'm other people's will understand, will assume that I don't know.
yeah,
Actually, which is being a student
ignorance.
mean. No, which is actually being a student mean. I don't know. I want to learn.
Correct. Correct.
So what's the shame
Exactly.
in it?
Exactly. And it's because of ego. And because
Exactly.
those, right? Again, it comes from BMN culture. BMN
Exactly.
say you can't ever look stupid and you can't ever acknowledge you don't know. Why? Because they don't know and they are stupid. They made themselves stupid because of their immersion into ego. Yes. That it's made them stupid. It's really sad. They aren't inherently so, but it's like a computer refusing to load programs. Yeah. Why? Because I'm fantastic. I know everything. I'm awesome. I don't need any programs. Make yourself stupid. Unbiased testing. Once, please read Beena. Unbiased testing. Very cool.
Okay. Unbiased testing. Once ego is removed as part of the consideration, then the outer force of circumstance is almost always very simple to deal with. Part of this process comes from simply trying and testing this methodology without believing in it, just trying it out. Once it is tried and it is seen to work, then using it is simple. It does not matter then why it works or what causes it to work or what we believe in. The only thing matters then is that it works. So to reduce all this to the simplicity of what actually to do when it comes to decisions, usually nothing other than that we are constantly paying attention, staying connected to not only the outer world but also our inner world.
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. In a world, the process leads us to see the confluence of circumstance. That brings us what we need and want. If our motivations are attuned to those life goals, then we start to see something incredible. You want me to
Say again?
continue? Oh,
Yeah. Go ahead.
we start to see something incredible. Gifts of learning. We see a continuous stream of gifts coming our way. We start to see that all circumstances have what we need and want in them. We see that life itself is geared to furthering those life goals. So, really, in the end, all that's required is to avail ourselves of the gifts which are continuously coming our way. Indeed, our circumstances themselves are a gift in this sense. Our circumstances have in them what we need. All we have to do, again, is avail ourselves of the gift. Availing ourselves of the gifts means learning and enjoying. When we add appreciation, it leads us to grace. Wow. But to keep it simple, all we need to do is learn and enjoy. This usually, okay. This usually means we have to ask ourselves, what is that my circumstances are forcing me to learn? Then, when we learn, we enjoy. Of course, this means that we have made the effort and have matured to the point that we have come to enjoy learning. When we do, then it leads us to the opposite application of this. We start with enjoying, with fun and pleasure, and we then look inside of the fun and pleasure and enjoyment for the lessons. This is the optimum, having fun, doing what we most love to do, doing what we may think of as complete indulgence. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Yes, indulgence.
Then when we learn, we enjoy. Of course, this means we have made the effort and have matured to the point. We have come where? To the point where we have come to enjoy learning. Yes, that is so huge. Yes, to come to this point where we enjoy learning, capital L learning, because little L learning isn't very fun, right? And
Yes.
it's but can be a bit shallow. When we do, it leads us to the opposite application of this. What is this? Of course, then we learn. Then when we learn, we enjoy. Of course, this means we have made the effort and have matured to the point where we have come to enjoy learning. When we do, then it leads us to the opposite application of this. I don't understand that sentence there. Yeah, do you?
Hmm. Yeah.
I'll just take it out. Well, I think she's meaning that enjoying learning is the opposite. We start with enjoying, with fun and pleasure, and we look inside of the fun and pleasure and enjoyment for the lessons. This is optimum, having fun, doing what we most love to do, doing what we may think of as a complete indulgence. Now, of course, there's more here, right? Thinking of as a complete indulgence. I feel a however coming or a but, yes, creative meaning. Please continue, Beena.
Yes. Okay. Creating meaning. But if we are already in the habit of always looking for the learning, for the connection to our life goals, then we are amazed at the overwhelming amount of learning that is embedded in fun and enjoyment. This is why one of the corners of that golden triangle is abstraction. Once we have the habit of abstracting, we can extract and find and see where it is now and see the learning in anything. Thus, for instance, all play is excellent for fostering and enhancing things like patience and tolerance, and of course, awareness.
Yeah, yeah.
Games and
And
playing
then,
all.
for instance, all play, and this is capital play. Yes. When
Yes,
we play
yes.
with awareness and attention and moreness and overview perspective, we're also connected to the learning, not just the other stuff, right?
Yes. Games and playing almost always involve delayed gratification. If we only get the payoff immediately, it becomes pointless. If we go all the way, games and playings are at root exercises of creating meaning. This is the most crucial skill to develop. Because in an existence of actual, real, pure freedom, we would have to be able to create meaning. Otherwise, the experience of freedom would be a meaningless.
Well, what happened? Did Bina drop off there? I think so. Where was this? Games and playing almost always involve delayed gratification. If we only get the payoff immediately, it becomes pointless. If we go all the way, games and playing are at root exercises of creating meaning. Of creating meaning. Yes, that's what we do. This is a most crucial skill to develop. Yeah, it's a massive skill, a most crucial skill to develop, because in an existence of actual, real, pure freedom, we would have to be able to create meaning. Wow, wow, wow! Very huge point here. Very huge point. Otherwise, the experience of freedom would be a meaningless one for us. Since if we were to be completely free, it would mean also a complete freedom from externally imposed meaning. Wow. Wow. Yes, of course. See, it's just thinking things to today. It's like, duh. So we have to be able to have the ability to create meaning. And not so, but thus. Thus, we have to be able to have the ability to create meaning and purpose. Being able to create meaning is massive in its effects on us. It's how we can access the gifts, which the gifts continually present for us to avail. See, writers can cut out all these extraneous words. Yes. It's how we can access the gifts continually present for us to avail. Once we are able to create meaning, we can create it or find it in anything we do, or have to do. It's an exquisite freedom. Yes, it is the ability to create meaning in anything we do. It's an exquisite freedom, enhancing our lives in ordinately. And this is the capital F freedom here. Now suddenly we shift from being at the mercy of the world to living in one where everything has meaning and thus purpose. Yes. We suddenly find ourselves living in a world that makes complete and total sense. A world now completely geared to providing us with exactly and precisely what we need. What we need, of course, is to develop and enhance our awareness in order to get to freedom. What we need, of course, is to develop and enhance our awareness in order to get to freedom. Or self-realization or self-actualization, enlightenment, etc. Well, I'll put in enlightenment there. Just, when you're doing etc., you don't want to just have two things. To make a pattern, 3 is kind of the minimum, right? 2 is a little to make a pattern. Decisions then in all of this become a non-factor. It doesn't really matter in the big scheme of things. Whatever circumstances we find ourselves in can be good. Some are more energy efficient than others, but mostly it doesn't matter too much. So this allows us to simply let force of circumstance dictate what we do. This allows us, this allows us to simply let force of circumstance dictate what we do. And if we trust our overall intent is pure, is appropriate to our overall life goals. And let me read it again. If we trust our overall intent is pure, is appropriate to our overall life goals, then we come to see that this intent of ours finds expression via the force of circumstance. Wow. Then we come to see this intent of ours finds expression via force of circumstance. This is why I like to say also, we have to completely trust our intent to goodness. Yeah. Yes. Oh, that is massive. That is massive. That is a massive. Yes. This is why I also like to say, we have to, this is why I also like to say, this is why I like to say also, no, and also is, this is why I also like to say, we have to completely trust our intent to goodness. Yes, very powerful, Biella. Applying impeccability. Applying, not implying. Applying impeccability. The key in relation to your questions, Limo, I think you want to add in, is, never mind. The key in relation to your questions is impeccability. To me, impeccability at its most sophisticated is the best use of energy. Impeccability is not about being right or not making mistakes. One can be impeccable and make huge mistakes or be completely wrong. This is something that we don't understand in general as human beings. Yes, one can be impeccable and make huge mistakes or be completely wrong. This can come about because of information not being available and change of circumstances to random, unforeseeable, and impossible events or circumstances. Yes, this is really a massive, big deal. Yes, one can be impeccable and make huge mistakes or be completely wrong. Yes. Yes. Mistakes, being wrong. And an extra synonym there. One can be impeccable and make huge mistakes or be completely wrong. Errors can come about because of information not being available and change of circumstance due to random, unforeseeable, and improbable events or circumstances. In other words, stuff happens. Yes, you make a decision and then stuff happens, the world changes, and then your decision is not valid anymore and becomes an error. So what, man? You were impeccable in making your decision. If you were, then you have nothing to feel bad about, nothing whatsoever. What matters is whether or not we were scrupulous with our energy. Did we do the requisite amount of research and investigation? Were we diligent in examining our motives and goals? Were we diligent in examining our motives and goals? Did we look for sub-motivations? I was reading Introduction by a famous author, best-selling, huge, big book, and a very excellent introduction, but it was not free of sub-motivations. They were selling their book. Yes. And they were promoting their book in this. They were saying, thank you for everybody supporting me. Thank you for all the good attention. Thank you for this and thank you for that. But really, the sub-motivation in saying thank you for all this, he was also telling you, well, all these people liked my book. Sub-motivation was kind of very evidently obvious there. Maybe most people won't pick up on it, but okay, sub-motivations. I mean, yes, he is thanking people as legitimate, but there was clearly a sub-motivation involved. Clever use of words, Norma. There's a really good example of clever use of words. You have to be careful. Integrity is important. Okay, it doesn't mean that you cannot promote yourself, but be honest about it. I don't know. I felt they were a little bit disingenuous there. Anyway, it's hard. It's hard to do multi-layeredness and be genuine at the same time. Yes, because you don't always have the opportunity to share all of the multi-layeredness. Somebody's messaging me. Let me check. Okay. I'm listening and eating at the same time. Okay. Okay. All right. I don't know how long ago you said that, Beena. Oh, that was at 10:34. I think Beena's dropped. I don't think Beena's. Beena is no. There's a message from Beena, but I don't think Beena's live right now. Let me see. Yeah, see, no green there. Norma explains a lot of things. Okay, I can't really take care of you right now, Norma. Okay, Jordan, you just have to wait a little bit. I just check. I don't want to interrupt my live with messages. So this application of impeccability is very, 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 very important, right? Let's read this paragraph again. What matters is whether or not we are scrupulous with our energy. In the context of applying impeccability, that's what matters. Did we do the requisite amount of research and investigation? Were we diligent in examining our motives and goals? Did we look at sub-motivations? Were we paying attention to our ethics? If we did all that to our satisfaction, to where we feel completely comfortable, then we can trust in whatever happens, knowing we did our part. And in this, best use of energy is the key element. To where we are completely comfortable with our conscience. Yes, that's the key there. We don't always have the time to do all the research we might like to. So we have to have a cutoff point somewhere. We have to understand diminishing returns. The key is to be comfortable. Yes. To tap into, to be comfortable internally. With our real selves, the selves that can't be BS'd, in other words. Yeah. I mean, Biella just kind of takes it for granted. Yeah, but I just, sorry, Biella, I need to add that a little bit there. We don't always have the time to do all the research you might like to. So we have to have a cutoff point somewhere. We have to understand diminishing returns. Key is to be comfortable internally with our real selves. Yeah, very key. To tap into our integrity and to never circumvent our integrity. To never circumvent our integrity. Never, 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 ever, ever. Don't cross that line. Don't even do it once, because once you do it, you get comfortable. Well, or you might not be comfortable. You say, well, I did it and it wasn't so bad. And you think you get away with it, and then you do more and more and more, and eventually you have no integrity. And then, of course, it's a problem. Sometimes we are forced into accepting limited research. In circumstances like that, we then have to be impeccable in our trust. We have to impeccably trust that things will work out. Yes. We have to impeccably trust things will work out. Yeah. And this is huge. This is capital T, trust. That's it. Things will work out. Yeah, that's just absolutely huge. We have to be impeccably trust things will work out. I don't need that there. Yep. This is capital T, trust. I don't have to even say this is. I can just do it like that. Yeah. Redundancy. Don't need all these extra words, right? Yeah. They are expensive. Things will work out. This is just a huge concept. This is just a huge concept. And this is how we stay unrelentingly positive. This is how we can trust, and we'll get there now. Things will work out. Inevitably, if we have been impeccable, and in the short term, it seems we made a mistake, if we don't waver from our trust, then we always come to see our mistakes were fortuitous. This is so huge. This is so huge. Dang it. This is so huge. It's so huge. And we're fortuitous. This is just big. This is just big. Man, I'm getting a bit overwhelmed at this hugeness here of what Biella is saying. Right. So the subheading is things will work out. Inevitably, if we have been impeccable and in the short term it seems we made a mistake, if we don't waver from our trust, then we always come to see our mistakes were fortuitous. Yes. It's incredible. It's so incredible. Sometimes the only way to connect to new opportunities, to connect to what we don't know yet, is through mistakes. In the end, if we are impeccable, there are no mistakes really. Now, this is a huge deal. It's all good. It has to be, because our intent to goodness and our trust in our intent to goodness. Yeah, trust that intent to goodness. Trust that intent to goodness. I cannot emphasize this enough. We just have to make the effort to connect to that goodness via perspective shifting. We just have to make the effort to connect to that goodness via perspective shifting. Yeah. We simply, instead of just is an overused word. Yes, I'm trying to change it here. We simply have to make the effort to connect to that goodness via perspective shifting. In this case, that is appropriate there. Also, in these readings, I'm not just reading it to share the moreness, but there's a sub-motivation, which is I'm also editing and making sure it's comprehensible, right? Editing in all of it, not just editing things like superfluous that's and all that, right? But editing to read for comprehension and understanding. It may be comprehensible to me, but I'm used to what Biella is saying. Doesn't mean it's comprehensible to somebody who's new to Nobelia-Living, to Moreness, to this vocabulary of conceptuality, which is what the dictionaries of power are, right? Yeah, so I have to, impeccable. Like, to me, impeccable is like, man, this is the core of everything. But most people don't understand this word. They don't know. Yes. And it's a huge conception, but it's misunderstood typically. Yes. And somebody asked me about what is impeccability, and I actually want to share that right here now. All right. Let me just get to the end of this subsection here. Inevitably, if we have been impeccable, All right. You know what? I'm going to leave it there, and we'll read this tomorrow. But I want to, before we go, because this is about impeccability as well, right? And this is really, really key to understand that we have to be, we have to impeccably trust things work out. What do we mean by impeccability? Somebody asked me this. What does impeccability mean? It was a fantastically earnest question, and I got that moreness that came to me in answering this. Yeah. And I added it to my file here. Extended understandings of impeccability. Is there such a way to give a mini explanation of the word impeccableness or impeccableness? Yes. And I give a list of things. So impeccable means best use of energy, giving due respect, uncompromising self-honesty, living with true integrity. That can be two separate lines, actually. There we go. Uncompromising self-honesty, living with true integrity, making sure non-use of energy is not going to be a problem. Yeah. It's like you can act and it could cause problems, but non-action can also cause problems, right? Yeah. So this is, I'm going to put that here. I haven't read this for a while, so this is nice to, since I'm kind of in 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 uh in editing mode, comprehension mode, see, adds me to add this. Making sure non-use of energy is not going to be a problem, non-action. Doing more than enough, doing more than enough to be sure we're covered. Regret. Yes, no regrets. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to change that to no regrets. Makes it more clear. Yeah, yeah. Uh, well, it's not being able to have regrets. Anyway, I think that comes, yeah. Being thorough, diligent, scrupulous, conscientious, etc. Right? All what impeccability means. Impeccability is making sure one is unblameable, unfaultable by one's conscience. Yes, yes. I think I must change this. Yes, yes, yeah. See, I think this is important to do it this way. It makes more sense. Shift enter, and I want to make this in bold. So Control B. See, shortcuts. Now you're reading this. Impeccability is best use of energy. Impeccability is giving due respect. Impeccability is uncompromising self-honesty. Impeccability is living with true integrity. Yeah, see? Um, Impeccability is being thorough, diligent, scrupulous, conscientious, etc. Impeccability is making sure one is unblameable, faultable by one's conscience. Impeccability is acting so cannot have any regrets. Impeccability is acting so we cannot have any regrets, making regrets impossible. Impeccability is doing what's right according to our own conscience. Our own, I'm going to put that in all caps here and italicized. Impeccability is doing everything we can and more to minimize foolishness. Impeccability is applying all necessary effort required. Impeccability is Nobelia trusting impeccably when we, no, that's not impeccable. And Nobelia trusting impeccably when we've done all this, that things will turn out good. Thus, acting and behaving and doing all we can, so doubt is not an issue. Yeah. Sort of unimpeachable, the questioner says. In a way, yes, exactly. Unimpeachable by our own conscience. Yes. Smiley face, laughy face. Yeah. So that was very cool. That was just most excellently cool there. That question. Yes. And to be unimpeachable by our own conscience. Impeccability is being unimpeachable by our own conscience. Yeah. Very powerful. Very powerful. Thank you. Thank you, questioner. Love you dearly, questioner. That was a most potent and brilliant and awesome question, and very, very cool. And it's part of my quote file, right? As I've written much about impeccability, but this just in the way it came out, it came out very cool. And I think I'm going to. I like that impeccability. I'm going to just add this to the front of everything. Yeah. Um, rather than than do it like just do it like this. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think this is important. This is important. Living with true integrity, making sure non-use of energy is not going to be a problem, doing more than enough, being thorough, diligent, scrupulous, etc. Making sure one is unblameable, unfaultable, i.e., unimpeachable by one's conscience. That's a huge deal. We act against our conscience, but if you act in accordance with your conscience, yes, doing what's right according to our own conscience, yes, acting in accordance with our conscience. Yes. Impeccability is doing everything we can and more to minimize foolishness, applying all necessary effort required, and Nobelia trusting, capital T trusting. Okay, I think I must put that in the front rather than in the beginning. Capital T trusting, Nobelia trusting, impeccably when we've done all this, that things will turn out good. Nobelia trusting impeccably when we've done all this, things will turn out good. Thus, acting and behaving and doing all we can. So doubt is never an issue. Not, but never. Doubt is never an issue. Sort of unimpeachable in a way. Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Unimpeachable by our own conscience. Yes. Smiley face, laughy face, heart. Okay, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Most excellently wonderful. All right. Norma says, thank you, Beena. And on that note, yeah, I want to end. No, not yet. I want to end the screen share. Anything, Norma? Are you still there? No, I want to stop the screen share. There we go. Okay. I hope so, Norma. I hope so. Always love it that you're here. Always love it. And, I love your questions. And again, there's no such thing as right questions or wrong questions or wrong comments. Sometimes the comments may be like, whoa, like clever use of words. It wasn't a criticism of you, Norma, Oh, she's still here. Wonderful. Again, I love your comments. They allow me to expand. They allow me to expand beyond what we typically assume. Yes. And those typicalness, you like expand me into that moreness, right? So you make my brain go like this, Norma. You see that? That's what you do to my wonderful brain. And you, with your wonderful questions, your wonderful self, we're all wonderful. We're all wonderful. Yes. Too brilliant. All right. And see, it says live and it says excellent. Yeah. Oh, you can't see that. I'm not screen sharing anymore. All right. I'm glad you're still here, Norma. I'm glad you're still here. So goodbye. And well, we'll chat to you in chat, Norma, but thank you for being here. As always, you are appreciated, Norma. You're not only appreciated, but also appreciated and enjoyed. And Norma, you're also understood. Okay. I have exceptional skills of capital U understanding. I'm not being egotistical or arrogant. I've spent my entire life practicing, emphasizing, testing, researching, exploring, furthering, figuring out this particular skill. A couple of others also, but this in particular, to understand others because it's understanding myself. And I really do understand myself, and I'm very honest about myself too. And in that honesty, I also understand others. And I understand more than I show that I understand. I understand the frailties. I understand the uncertainties. I understand the insecurities. I understand the doubts, the concerns, the fears, the worries. I, excuse me. I understand all that. But I don't want to emphasize that. I don't want to share that because then it brings it into the foreground. It's not the part that is important. Those are things which are just temporary. And we want to go past those, right? And through emphasizing on our moreness, we can shift that. For instance, like I was saying earlier, an emphasis on the unknown and associating unknown with scary means the future is scary. We can shift that simply by changing the conception to shifting unknown to moreness. The future is moreness. Yes, it could be negative, but it could also be positive. And the likelihood of it being more is going to be a very high likelihood. Why? Because we are focused on moreness. So we're going to create moreness in our future because we're sowing the seeds of moreness now every single day. Yeah. So I'm saying that even though we learn to, and we've been taught to be less, doesn't mean we have to stay there. We've been taught our goodness in being a typical good person according to BMN culture means we are less, we are minimized, we are doubtful, we are insecure, we are dishonest, we are all these things that the BMN is, and they're trying to get you to be like they are in order to justify themselves. Don't don't subscribe to BMN culture, the superiority paradigm, yeah? BMN culture, narcissist culture, abusive culture. No, they're all pushing this culture on you to justify themselves. Terrible thing. Yes, we have to understand this. The BS culture, in other words, right? Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. Love that you're still here, Norma. Love that you're still here. And love you too, Norma. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.